We have a Christmas carol ready to begin.
Marley was dead, to begin with. There is no doubt whatsoever about that. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Scrooge signed it, and Scrooge's name was considered good for any piece of business he chose to put his hand to. Marley was as dead as a doornail. Now, I don't know what there is particularly dead about a doornail. I would think a coffin nail would be a deader piece of iron, but far be it from me to change the expression, or the country's done for. So, permit me to repeat, once again, emphatically, that Marley was dead as a doornail.
Did Scrooge knew Marley was dead?
Scrooge knew he was dead? Of course he did. How could it be otherwise? Scrooge and he had been partners for I don't know how many years. Scrooge was his sole executor, his sole administrator, his sole friend, and the only man who mourned him. If Scrooge can be said to have mourned at all. At the mention of Marley's funeral brings me back to the point I started from. There is no doubt that Marley was dead. This must be distinctly understood, or nothing wonderful can come of the story I am going to relate. Scrooge never painted out old Marley's name. There it stood, years afterward, above the warehouse door. Scrooge and Marley. The firm was known as Scrooge and Marley. Sometimes people new to the business called Scrooge Scrooge, and sometimes Marley, but he answered to both names. It was all the same to him.
Here we come a-wassailing among the leaves so green. Here we come a-wandering so fair to be seen. Love and joy come to you, and to you will bless too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy new year.
It was bitterly cold, and the fog was thick as pea soup on that Christmas Eve of 1843, when Scrooge sat busy in his counting-house, with his clerk nearby trying to warm himself at a candle. But since he didn't have much of an imagination, he failed.
We are not beggars that beg from door to door, but we are English children who have seen before. Love and joy come to you, and to you a wassail too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy new year.
A Merry Christmas, Uncle.
What?
I said, a Merry Christmas, Uncle. God save you.
Bah, humbug.
Christmas, a humbug, Uncle. Surely you don't mean that.
Of course I mean it. Merry Christmas indeed. What reason have you to be merry? You're poor enough.
Come on, Uncle. What reason have you to dismal? You're rich enough. You're rich enough. Ha.
Bah, away with Merry Christmas. What's Christmas to you but a time for paying bills without money? A time for finding yourself a year older and not an hour richer. If I could work my will, every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled with his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart. He should.
Uncle!
Nephew, keep Christmas in your own way and let me keep it in mine.
Keep it, but don't keep it.
Let me leave it alone then. A lot of good it has done you.
Well, there are many things from which I have benefited, even they don't show a profit. I dare say Christmas among the rest, and if anything belongs to Christmas, can be considered apart from the sacred source of its name and origin. I am sure I've always had a thought of Christmas as a good name, a kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time. The only time of year I know when men and women seem to be one constant to open up their shut up hearts freely and think of others as if they really were fellow passengers to the grave. And therefore, Uncle, though it has never put a scrape of silver or gold in my pocket, I believe that it has done me good, and it will do me good. And I say, God bless it.
Another sound out of you, and you'll keep your Christmas by losing your position.
Don't be angry, Uncle. Why come and dine with us tomorrow?
Why? Why? Let me ask you a question. Why did you get married recently?
Because I fell in love, of course.
Love? Love? You fell in love? Ha! Good afternoon, nephew.
But you never came to see me before I'm married. Why give it as a reason for not coming now?
Good afternoon.
I want nothing from you. I'll ask nothing of you. Why can't we be friends?
Good afternoon.
I'm sorry to find you results so resolute. We never had a quarrel, you and I, but I came all this way to give you greetings of the season and keep my Christmas humor to the last. So a Merry Christmas, Uncle.
Good afternoon.
And a Happy New Year.
Good afternoon.
And a Merry Christmas to you, Bob Cratchit.
Thank you, sir. A Merry Christmas to you.
Oh, there's another fellow, my clerk, with 15 shilling a week and a wife and a family, talking about Merry Christmas. I'll retire to bed.
Scrooge and Marley's, I believe. Have I the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
Molly's dead. In fact, he died 70 years ago this very night.
Oh, I am quite sorry to hear it, but I have no doubt his generosity is well represented by his surviving partner.
At this festive season of the year, Mr. Scrooge, it is more than usually desirable that we should make some slight provision for the poor and needy who suffer greatly at the present time. Many thousands are in want of basic needs. Hundreds of thousands are in want of common comfort, sir.
Are there no prisons? Did they disappear?
Oh no, sir. There's still plenty of prisons.
And the workhouses for the poor? Still in operation, I assume?
They are still. I wish I could say that they were not.
The treadmill and the poor are in vigor, then?
Yes, very busy, sir.
Oh, well, I was afraid from what you had said that something had stopped them in their useful course. I am glad to hear it.
Given that scarcely furnish Christian cheer to the multitude, a few of us are trying to raise a fund to buy the poor some meat and drink, and some means of warmth. We choose this time because it is a time above all others, when want is keenly felt and abundance rejoices. What shall I put you down for?
Nothing.
Ah, you wish to be anonymous, then?
I wish to be left alone. I don't make merry at myself at Christmas, and I can't afford to make idle people merry. I am taxed for the institutions I have mentioned, and they cost enough. Those who are badly off must go there.
But many can't go there, and many would rather die.
Oh, well, if they'd rather die, perhaps they should go ahead and do it, and decrease the surplus population. Besides, I wouldn't know anything about it.
Well, you could know it, sir.
It's none of my business. I have too much of my own business to interfere with other people's. Mine occupies me constantly, and I'll thank you to leave me to it. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
God rest you, merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. Remember Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day to save us all from Satan's power, and we were gone astray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy.
Get away from here, you. I didn't ask to be bothered with noise. You'll want all day tomorrow, I suppose.
If it's quite convenient, sir.
It's not convenient, and it's not fair. If I was told back half a crown for it, you'd think you were being abused, no doubt. And yet you don't think me ill-used when I pay a day's wages for no work.
But it's only once a year, sir.
A poor excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December, but I suppose you must have it. Be here all the earlier next morning.
Oh, yes, sir. I shall. I certainly shall.
Father!
Hello, my dear son.
Father, I have been waiting for you.
Let's go by Cornhill and watch the children play. Someday you will be there too, playing with them.
I feel that. I'm getting stronger every day.
And do you remember what tomorrow is?
Christmas Day!
Yes, and I am to have the whole day off to celebrate with my family.
Hurrah for Christmas!
In Bethlehem in June, this blessed babe was born. Laid within a manger, the house is blessed morn. The witch's daughter Mary, and nothing taken scorn. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy.
Oh, Scrooge. He was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, he was. A squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner, to be sure. Secret, self-contained, and solitary as an oyster. He carried his own low temperature with him everywhere he went. He iced his office in the dog days, and didn't thaw it 1 degree at Christmas.
Where did Scrooge live? And what did he eat?
Scrooge always took his melancholy dinner in the same melancholy tavern, and this night was no different. He read all the papers and beguiled the rest of the evening with his banker's book before he took himself home to bed. He lived in chambers which had once belonged to his deceased partner. They were a gloomy suit of rooms. It was old and dreary, for nobody lived in it but Scrooge, the other rooms being all let out as offices. The fog and frost so hung about the black old gateway of the house that it seemed as if the genius of the weather sat in mournful meditation on the threshold. Upon arriving in his chambers, Scrooge took off his cravat, put on his dressing gown, slippers, and his nightcap, and sat down before the fire to take his gruel, for he had a cold in his head. It was a very low fire indeed, nothing on such a bitter night. He was obliged to sit close to it and brood over it before he could extract the least sensation of warmth from such a handful of fuel.
Scrooge!
What?
Scrooge!
Humbug. I won't believe it. How's this? What do you want with me?
Much.
Who are you?
Ask me who I was.
All right. Who were you then?
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley.
Ha! I don't believe it.
What evidence would you have of my reality beyond of your senses?
I don't know.
Why do you doubt your senses?
Because a little thing affects them. Slight disorder of the stomach makes them cheat. You might be an undigested bit of beef, a blotch of mustard, a fragrance of an underdone potato. There's more of gravy than the grave about you, whoever you are. Ha! Ha!
Ah!
Mercy! Dreadful apparition, why do you trouble me?
Man of worldly mind, do you believe me or not?
I do. I must. But why have you come to me?
It is required of every man that his spirit should walk abroad among his fellow men and travel far and wide. And if that spirit does not go forth in life, it is condemned to do so after death, and witness what it cannot share, but might have shared in turn to happiness. Oh, woe is me!
You are fettered. Tell me why.
I wear this chain I forged in life. I made it link by link, yard by yard, and wore it of my own free will. Is the pattern strange to you, or would you know that the weight and length of the strong coil you bear yourself? It was long heavy at this 7 Christmas Eves ago. You have labored on in it since. It is a ponderous chain.
Jacob, old friend, Please, speak comfort to me.
I have none to give. I have little time. I cannot rest. I cannot linger here anywhere. My spirit never walked beyond the narrow limits of our money-changing hole. Oh, not to know that any Christian spirit working kindly in its little sphere will find its mortal life too short for its vast means of usefulness. Not to know that no space of regret cannot make amends for one's life opportunity misused. Yet such was I, oh, such was I!
But you were always a good man of business, Jacob.
Business. Humankind was my business. The common welfare was my business. Charity, mercy, forbearance, and benevolence were all my business. The dealings of my trade were but a drop of water in the comprehensive ocean of my business. Oh, why did I walk through the crowds of fellow beings with my eyes turned down, and never raise them to that blessed star which led the wise men to a poor abode, where there are no poor homes to which its light would have conducted me? Hear me, my name is nearly done.
I will, Jacob, but don't be hard on me.
I'm here to warn you that you have yet a chance of escaping my fate. A chance I have procured for you, Ebenezer.
You always were a good friend. Thank ye.
You will be visited by 3 spirits.
Is this the chance that you mentioned?
It is.
Oh, well, then I think I'd rather not.
Without their visits, you cannot hope to shun the path I tread, except the first tomorrow when the bell tolls 1.
Can't they all come at once and have it over with, Jacob?
Expect the second on the next night, at the same hour, the third upon the next night, and when the last stroke of 12 has ceased to vibrate, look to see me no more, and for your sake, take care that you remember what has passed between us. Oh!
Oh, humbug.
And so Scrooge lay in his bed and thought it over, and could make nothing of it. The more he thought, the more perplexed he was, and the more he endeavored not to think, the more he thought.
He must have thought it was about a dream.
Marley's spirit bothered him exceedingly. Every time he resolved within himself that it was all a dream, his mind flew back again, like a strong spring released, to its first position, and presented the same problem to be worked all through.
Was it a dream, then?
1:15.
1:30. 1:45. Ha! The hour itself, and nothing else.
Scrooge!
Ah!
The curtains of his bed were drawn aside, I tell you, by a hand. Not the curtains at his feet, nor the curtains at his back, but those to which his face was addressed. The curtains of his bed were drawn aside, and Scrooge, starting up in a half-recumbent attitude, found himself face to face with the unearthly visitor who drew them, as close to it as I am now to you. It was a strange figure, like a child. Its hair, which hung about its neck and down its back, was white as if with age, and yet the face had not a wrinkle in it, and the tenderest bloom was on the skin. The arms were very long and muscular. Its legs and feet were most delicately formed. It wore a tunic of the purest white, and round its waist was bound a lustrous belt, the sheen of which was beautiful. It held a branch of fresh green holly in its hand, and in a singular contradiction of that wintry emblem, had its dress trimmed with summer flowers. But the strangest thing about it was that from the crown of its head there sprung a bright, clear jet of light, by which all this was visible.
That's very strange indeed.
Even this, though, when Scrooge looked at it with increasing steadiness, was not its strangest quality, for at its belt sparkled and glittered now in one part, and now in another, and what was light one instant at another time was dark, so the figure itself fluctuated in its distinctness, being now a thing with one arm, now with one leg, now with 20 legs, now a pair of legs without a head, now a head without a body, of which dissolving parts no outline would be visible in the dense gloom wherein they melted away, and in the very wonder of this, it would be itself again, distinct and clear as ever.
Are you the spirit whose coming I was told about?
I am.
Who and what are you?
I am the spirit of Christmas past.
Long past.
No, your past.
Perhaps you could turn down that light that accompanies you.
What? Would you so soon put out the light I give? Yours are the dark passions that would extinguish the light of truth.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend. What brings you here?
Your welfare, of course.
Can't think of anything more conducive to my welfare than nights of interrupted sleep.
Your reformation, then. Take heed. Rise and walk with me.
It would have been in vain for Scrooge to plead that the weather and the hour were not adapted to pedestrian purposes, that bed was warm, and the thermometer a long way below freezing, that he was clad but lightly in his slippers, dressing down a nightcap, and that he had a cold upon him at that time. The grasp, though gentle as a woman's hand, was not to be resisted.
Colors and sweet silver bells all seem to say, come here, Christmas is here, bring cheer to young and old, bleak and old, bring on the road. That is the song that we're singing from Christmas. Merry, merry, merry Christmas, merry, merry, merry Christmas. On with us and on with us, and never return to ever home. Ding dong.
Good heaven, I was bred in this place. I was a boy here.
Your lip is trembling, and what is that upon your cheek?
What's what? Oh, nothing. Must be a pimple. Lead me where you would, spirit.
Do you remember the way, Ebenezer?
Remember it? I could have walked it blindfolded.
Strange that you've forgotten it for so many years.
Why, that's David Masterson and Robert Essex. Hello!
Those are merely shadows of the things that have been. They are not aware of us.
Merry Christmas! Happy New Year! Happy New Year!
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas!
The school is not quite deserted. A solitary child neglected by his friends is left there still.
Poor boy. My mother died giving birth to my sister. My father grew remorse and seemed to begrudge us both after. I wish... but it's too late now.
What is it?
It's nothing. There was a boy singing a Christmas carol at my door last night. I should like to have given him something. That's all.
Dear, dear brother,
Fan, little Fan, you've grown.
I have come to bring you home, dear brother.
Home, little Fan.
Yes, home, for good and all. Father is much kinder than he used to be. He was in a pleasant mood just the other night, so that I was not afraid to ask him once more if you might come home, and he said, yes, you should, and he sent me to bring you. Ebenezer, Father has arranged an apprenticeship for you. You're to be a man and begin your career. You'll never have to spend another moment in this dreadful school, but first we'll be together all Christmas long and have the merriest time in all the world.
Your sister was a frail creature and often ill, but she had a large heart.
So she had. You're right about that, spirit. It'll not contradict it, God forbid.
Come, Ebenezer, pack your things. The carriage is just outside.
Are you sure Father is ready to have me home?
Oh, yes, I am sure of it.
But where am I supposed to be apprenticed?
You will work for a wonderful man, Mr. Beswick, who keeps a warehouse. Now come, we mustn't keep the carriage waiting.
Your sister died a young woman, but she did have a child, as I recall.
Yes, a son, my nephew. His name is Fred Hollowell.
Your nephew, Ebenezer, the only family you have left.
Yes, that is true.
Come along, Ebenezer. It is time to see another Christmas.
Deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la. Donning our gay apparel, fa la la la.
know this place?
Know it? This is where I was apprenticed. Look, it's old Fezziwig. Bless his heart, Fezziwig alive again. And there's Dick Willikins. We were the best of friends.
Yo-ho there, Ebenezer. Dick, no more work tonight, my boys. It's Christmas Eve. Clear all this nonsense away, all of you. We must make room. Life is too short for all work and no play. I say it's time for a party. Hilly-ho, Dick. Cheery up, Ebenezer.
It's such a small thing to make these silly people feel so much gratitude and joy.
Small thing?
Is it not? After all, what did he do, this Fezziwig? Spent a few pounds on a party. Does he deserve such praise as this?
It isn't that, Spirit. Why, Mr. Fezziwig has the power to make us happy or unhappy. He can make our work pleasant or miserable, just in the way he looks at us, and the way he addresses us. 1,000 such little things add up, you know, until the happiness he gives is as great as if it cost a fortune. And...
What is it?
Nothing.
Something, I think.
No, it's just that I would like to be able to say a word as she's my clerk just now. That's all.
Come, Ebenezer, my time grows short. Look.
This was not addressed to Scrooge, or to anyone whom he could see, but it produced an immediate effect.
I want to do that.
Again, Scrooge saw himself. He was a little older now, a man in the prime of life. His face had not the harsh and rigid lines of later years, but it had begun to wear the signs of care and avarice. There was an eager, greedy, restless motion in the eye, which showed the passion that had taken root, and where the shadow of the growing tree would fall.
Is he all alone now?
He was not alone, but sat by the side of a fair young girl in a mourning dress, in whose eyes there were tears, which sparkled in the light that shone out of the spirit of Christmas past.
I know it matters very little to you. Oh, another idol has displaced me, and if it can make you happy, I would have tried to do. I have no reason to cry.
What idol has you displaced?
A golden one.
Now there a double stand for you. All the world speaks so vehemently against your poverty, yet condemns the pursuit of wealth just as harshly.
You fear the world too much, Ebenezer. All you older hopes have merged into one hope of eluding the disdain of others. I have seen your noble virtues fall away one by one, until nothing is left but one master passion and the pursuit of profit. It consumes you.
What then? Even I have grown wiser and more astute. I haven't changed my feelings towards you.
Oh, Ebenezer, you are promised to one another is an old one. We made it when we were young, poor, and happy, to remain so until we have improved our future together by patience and hard work. But you've changed. You are nothing but this. Nothing. You are not the same man. Tell me, Ebenezer, if all of this had not happened, would you seek me out and try to win me now, or a poor, less drownless girl with nothing but a marriage? just as I thought. You may feel sad now, as Ebenezer, but I've no doubt that you dismiss the thought of life very soon. As if you were glad to have a awkward awakened from a bad dream, you may be happy to have life that has chosen you.
Spirit, show me no more. Conduct me home. Why do you enjoy torturing me?
There is one more shadow we must see.
I don't wish to see it. Show me no more.
I saw an old friend of yours this afternoon.
Oh, who was it?
Take a guess.
Why, surely you must not mean old Ebenezer Scrooge.
The very same. I passed his office window. His partner, Jacob Marley, lies upon the point of death. I hear, and there he sat, old Scrooge, all alone, quiet, all alone in the world, I do believe.
Miserable wretch.
Spirit, remove me from this place.
I told you these are shadows of the things that have been. That they are what they are, do not blame me.
Please, I beg you, take me away from here. I can bear no more. No more.
After this mighty struggle, if that can be called a struggle, Scrooge was conscious of being exhausted and overcome by an irresistible drowsiness, and, further, of being in his own bedroom once again. He barely had time to reel to bed before he sank into a heavy sleep.
Scrooge! Ebenezer Scrooge!
It was his own room. There was no doubt about that. But it had undergone a surprising transformation. The walls and ceiling were so hung with living green that it looked a perfect grove, from every part of which bright, gleaming berries glistened. The crisp leaves of holly, mistletoe, and ivy reflected back the light, as if so many little mirrors had been scattered there. And such a mighty blaze went roaring up the chimney as that dull hearth had never known in Scrooge's time. Heaped up on the floor to form a kind of throne were turkeys, geese, game, poultry, brawn, great joints of meat, sucking pigs, long wreaths of sausages, mince pies, plum puddings, barrels of oysters, red-hot chestnuts, cherry-cheeked apples, juicy oranges, luscious pears, immense 12 cakes, and seething bowls of punch that made the chamber dim with their delicious steam. In easy state upon this couch there sat a jolly giant, glorious to see, who bore a glowing torch in shape not unlike Clinty's horn, and held it up, high up, to shed its light on Scrooge, as he came peeping round the door.
What was Spirit like?
It was clothed in one simple green robe, or mantle, bordered with white fur. This garment hung loosely on the figure. Its feet were also bare, and on its head it wore no other covering than a holly wreath, set here and there with shining icicles. Its dark brown curls were long and free as its genial face, its sparkling eye, its open hand, its cheery voice, and its joyful air. Girded round its middle was an antique scabbard, but no sword was in it, and the ancient sheath was eaten up with rust.
Come here and know me better, man. I am the spirit of Christmas present. You have never seen the likes of me before, eh? Ha, 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 ha.
No, never.
You've never walked forth with any of my elder brothers born in these later years?
No, I don't think I have. Have you had many brothers, Spirit?
Ha, ha, ha. More than 1,800. Ha, ha.
A tremendous family to provide for.
Take hold of my robe, Ebenezer Scrooge.
Where, pray tell, are we going?
You will see.
Ships go sailing in on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. Salty ships go sailing in on Christmas Day in the morning. What was on the ship so free on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day? And what was on the ship so free on Christmas Day in the morning?
with favor, and what you sprinkle from your torch upon the carolers and passers-by.
There is indeed my own.
Would it apply to any kind of dinner on this day?
To any kindly given, to a poor one most.
Why to a poor one most?
Because it needs it most.
Spirit, why do you, of all the things in this many worlds about us, desire to cramp these people's opportunities of innocent enjoyment?
I?
Well, you would deprive them of their means of dining every 7th day. Markets are closed, often the only day on which they can be said to dine at all, wouldn't you?
I?
You seek to close these places on the 7th day, and it comes to the same thing.
I seek.
Forgive me if I am wrong. It has been done in your name, or at least in that of your family.
There are some upon the earth of yours who claim to know us, and who do their deeds of passion pride, ill will, hatred, and envy, bigotry, and selfishness in our name, who are as strange to us and all our kith and kin, as if they had never lived. Remember that, and charge their doing on themselves, not us.
What has ever got your precious father then, and your brother, Tiny Tim, and Martha wasn't this late last Christmas by half an hour?
Here I am, Mother.
Oh, Martha, how late you are.
We had a great deal of work to finish at the Miller's last night. It was a great deal to clear away this morning.
Well, never mind. You are home now. Sit down and warm yourself, dear.
Father will be home any minute. Hide, Martha, hide.
Tim and I have come home, Mother. But where's Martha?
She won't be coming for Christmas this year, I'm afraid.
What? Not coming for Christmas?
Oh, here I am, Father.
Come, Tim. Come on. Hear the pudding singing in the copper.
And did little Tim behave himself in church?
He did. As good as gold and better. Somehow he gets thoughtful sitting by himself so much, and he thinks the strangest things you ever heard. He told me, coming home, that he hoped the people saw him in the church because he was a cripple, and it might be pleasant for them to remember on Christmas Day who made lame beggars walk and blind men see. But he's growing stronger every day. I just know it.
Martha, help me with the goose.
There's such a goose, Father, such as we've never had before. Such a goose! To smell the sage and onion. Mother outdid herself this year. We got it for a good price, Father. It wasn't expensive at all.
A Merry Christmas to us all, my dears. God bless us.
God bless us.
I had no idea Cratchit had a crippled son.
I wonder why.
Tell me, Spirit, will the boy live?
I see a vacant seat at this table, and a crutch without an owner, carefully preserved. If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, the child will die.
No, that cannot be. Say he will be spared.
If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, none other of my race will find him here. But what difference does it make? If he is likely to die, then let him die and decrease the surplus population.
You use my own words against me.
Yes, so in the future perhaps you will hold your tongue until you have discovered what the surplus population and where it is. Who are you to decide who shall live and who shall die? It may be that in the sight of heaven you are more worthless and less fit to live than millions like the poor man's child.
And now, dear ones, a toast. I give you Mr. Scrooge, the founder of our feast.
The founder of our feast, indeed. I wish I had him here. I'd give him a piece of my mind to feast upon, and hope he'd have a good appetite for it.
My dear, the children, Christmas Day.
It should be Christmas Day when one would drink the health of such an odious, stingy, hard, unfeeling man as Ebenezer Scrooge. No one knows it better than you, Bob.
My dear, let's have a little charity.
Oh, all right then. I'll drink his health for your sake and the day's sake, but not for his. Long life to him, a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I've no doubt he'll be very merry indeed and very happy.
To Mr. Scrooge.
To Mr. Scrooge.
To Mr. Scrooge. I think it's time for a song.
A Christmas carol.
What shall we sing then? Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild, God is good and reconciled. Joyful, joyful, nations rise, joy the triumph of the skies. In the angelic host proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King.
It was a great surprise to Scrooge, while listening to the moaning of the wind and thinking what a solemn thing it was to move on through the lonely darkness over an unknown abyss, whose depths were secret, as profound as death. It was a great surprise to Scrooge, while thus engaged, to hear a hearty laugh. It was of a much greater surprise to Scrooge to recognize it as his own nephew's, and to find himself in a bright, dry, gleaming room, with the Spirit standing smiling by his side, and looking at that same nephew with approving affability.
When so lost and out on the feast of Stephen, when the snow lay round about, deep and crisp and even, brightly shone the moon that night, where the frost was cruel, where the poor men came inside, gathering reindeer through.
He said that Christmas was a humbug. He believed it too.
More shame for him, Fred.
He's really a comical old fellow, and nothing so pleasant as he might be. However, his offensive carries their own punishments, and I have nothing to say against him.
I'm sure he is very rich, Fred. At least you always tell me so.
But his wealth is no use to him. He doesn't do any good with it. He doesn't make himself comfortable with it, and I seriously doubt that he would ever consider benefiting us with it.
Well, I have no pity for him.
Oh, but have, who suffers by his ills with himself always. He takes into his head to dislike us, and he won't come and dine with us. What the conquest! He lose some pleasant moments which he could have do him no harm. But I mean to give him the same chance every year, whether he likes it or not. I think it may have cracked the old boy yesterday, if I do say so myself. He has given us plenty of merriment. I am sure, and it would be ungrateful not to drink his health. Here to Uncle Scrooge.
Uncle Scrooge! But the whole scene passed off in the breath of the last words spoken by his nephew, and he and the Spirit were again upon their travels.
Where did they go?
Much they saw, and far they went, and many homes they visited, but always with a happy end. The Spirit stood beside sick beds, and they were cheerful. On foreign lands, and they were close at home. By struggling men, and they were patient in their greater hope. By poverty, and it was rich. In almshouse, hospitality, and jail. In misery's every refuge, where vain man in his little brief authority had not made fast the door and barred the Spirit out, he left his blessing and taught Scrooge his precepts.
Forgive me, Spirit, if I am not justified in asking, but I see something strange, and not belonging to yourself, hanging there from your skirts. Is it a foot or a claw?
It might be a claw, for all the flesh there is on it. Look here.
They were a boy and girl, yellow, meager, ragged, scowling, wolfish, but prostrate, too, in their humility. Where graceful youth should have filled their features out and touched them with its freshest tints, a stale and shriveled hand, like that of age, had pinched and twisted them and pulled them into shreds. Where angels might have sat enthroned, devils lurked and glared out menacing. No change, no degradation, no perversion of humanity in any grade. Through all the mysteries of wonderful creation has monsters half so horrible and dread.
Spirit, are they yours?
No, they are yours. Do you not know them? This boy is ignorance, this girl is want. Beware them both, and all of their kind. But most of all, beware this boy, for on his brow I see written the word doom. Unless the writing be erased, I dare ye to deny it. I dare ye to slander those who claim otherwise and see where it leads.
Have they no refuge or resource?
Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses?
The phantom slowly, gravely, silently approached. When it came near him, Scrooge bent down upon his knee, for in the very air through which the spirit moved, it seemed to scatter gloom and mystery.
The third spirit.
It was shrouded in a deep black garment, which concealed its head, its face, its form, and left nothing of it visible save one outstretched hand. But for this it would have been difficult to detach its figure from the night, and separate it from the darkness by which it was surrounded. He felt that it was tall and stately when it came beside him, and that its mysterious presence filled him with a solemn dread. He knew no more, for the spirit neither spoke nor moved.
I take it that I am in the presence of the spirit of Christmas yet to come. You are about to show me shadows of the things that have not happened, but will happen in the time before us. Is that not so, Spirit? Spirit, I fear you more than any spectre I have seen. Will you not speak to me? Very well. Lead on then. The night is passing fast, and it is precious time for me. Lead on, Spirit. Why, I know these men, and this place. It is a stock exchange. It is a second home to me.
No, I don't know anything about it either way. I only know that he's dead.
When did he die?
Last night, I believe.
Why, what matter with him? I thought he never die.
Oh, God knows.
What has he done with his money?
I haven't heard. Left it with his company, perhaps. I only know he hasn't left with me.
Well, it's likely to be a cheap funeral. I don't know anybody who would go to it. Suppose we make up a party and volunteer.
Don't mind going if a lunch is provided, but I must be fed, for all the trouble is worth.
Well, this matters little to me either, in a way. I never wear black gloves and I never eat lunch, but I'll offer to go if anyone else will. Well, off to business. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Have these men no sense of decency or decorum? Spirit, what is this? Why am I seeing this?
They left the busy scene, and went into an obscure part of town where Scrooge had never penetrated before, although he recognized its situation and its bad repute. The ways were foul and narrow, the shops and houses wretched, the people half-naked, drunken, slipshod, ugly. The whole quarter reeked with crime and filth and misery.
Spirit, this is a fearful place. Surely there can be no reason to bring me to this God-forsaken part of the city, except that the case of this unhappy man might be my own. Yes, the items they have stolen are similar to mine, I see the point. But surely there is someone who feels some emotion caused by this man's death. Show that person to me, I beg you.
Oh, finally you've come, Thomas. What have you heard? Is it good or bad?
It is bad, I'm afraid.
Are we ruined, Thomas? Did he deny you the extra time you asked for? Has he evicted us?
No, there is hope yet, Caroline.
Only if he repents, that old miser. Nothing is past hope if such a miracle has happened.
He is past repenting, dear. He is dead.
Dead? Oh, God be praised! Oh, Lord, forgive me.
I thought he was merely trying to avoid me, but what I have been told is quite true. Not only was he very ill, but he was dying, even then.
To whom will our debt be transferred?
I don't know, but before that time we will be ready with the money, and even if we weren't, it would be bad fortune indeed to find a creditor who was as merciless as he. We may sleep tonight with light hearts, Caroline.
Spirit, I ask to see some emotion connected with this man's death, and you show me only pleasure. I demand to be shown some tenderness connected with the death.
And he took the child and set him in the midst of them, and he said to them, whenever you welcome a little child, you welcome me.
This color hurts my eyes. There, better now. The candlelight makes them weak, and I wouldn't want to show weak eyes to your father when he comes home. Not for the world. It must be near his time.
Past it, rather, but I think he's walked a little slower than he used to these last few evenings, Mother.
Yes, I've known him to walk with Tiny Tim upon his shoulder very fast indeed.
And so have I.
And so have I.
And
so have I.
But he was very light to carry, and his father loved him so that it was no trouble at all. Is that your father now?
I went by there today. Is why I'm late. I wish you could have been there. It would have done you good to see how green it is. But you'll see it often. I promised him that I would walk there every Sunday to visit him. You see, but guess whom I saw today? Fred Hollowell, Mr. Scrooge's nephew. I met him on the street. He saw that I was a little down, and, well, he is the most pleasant-speaking man you ever heard, and so I was not afraid to tell him. And that is what he said, and this is what he said to me. I am heartily sorry, Mr. Cratchit, heartily sorry. And he pledged to be of any service that he could to us. He even gave me his card and said that I shall call on him at home. But it's not for the sake of anything he might be able to do for us, so much as is his kind way, that I am thankful. It really seems as if he had known our Tiny Tim and felt with us. And I've got good news for you, Peter.
What is it, Father?
Mr. Hollowell told me that he has been able to secure an apprenticeship for you. You'll begin at 8 shillings a week, starting Tuesday next.
8 shillings a week?
Soon you'll be able to come.
Keeping company
with a young lady, and Peter and setting up a house for yourself.
That will happen soon enough. But however, whenever we're parting from one another, I'm sure none of us will ever forget poor Tiny Tim. Shall we?
No, never, Father.
And I know as well, my dears, that when we remember how patient and mild he was, although he was a little child, we shall not quarrel among ourselves and forget our little Tim in doing it.
No, we won't, Mother, never.
Spirit, something tells me that the moment of our parting is at hand. I know it, but I do not know how. Tell me, the man who has spoken of, the one who died, tell me who he was. Before I draw nearer to that stone at which you point, answer me one question. Are these the shadows of the things that will be, or the shadows of the things that may be only? The course of a man's life, if preserved in, will determine certain ends. I accept it. But if he departs from those courses, the ends must change. Say it so that with that you show me. No, it can't be. Am I that man? I am the man who died, whom no one mourned. Say it isn't so, Spirit. Say it isn't so. Spirit, hear me. I am not the man I was. I will not be the man I must have been for your intervention. Why show me this if I am all past your hope? Surely your nature intercedes me and pities me. Assure me that I may yet change these shadows you have shown me by a changed life. I will honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year. I will remember the lessons of the past, and I will live in the present. I will live toward the future. The spirits of all three will strive within me. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach. Oh, tell me that I may sponge away my name from upon this stone.
Good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Where am I? Wait, what day is this? It's morning, but what day? How long have I been with the spirits? I don't know, but I'm alive. I'm alive! The curtains are still here. They're not torn down. They are here. I am here. Oh, woohoo! I don't know what to do. I feel light as a feather. I'm happy as an angel. I'm as merry as a schoolboy. Hello, you boy. What day is it? Wait, don't be afraid, my boy. What day is it?
What day is it?
Ha, ha, ha. Yes, what day is it today?
Why, it's Christmas Day.
Christmas Day? Are you quite sure, my good fellow?
I should say I am.
The spirits have done it all in one night. Why, of course, they can do anything they like. Of course they can. Ha, 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 ha. Hello. Hello, my fine fellow.
Hello.
Do you know the poulterers in the next street, but one, at the corner?
I should hope I do.
What a wonderful boy, a remarkable boy. Do you know whether they've sold the prize turkey that was hanging up there?
What, the one as big as me?
What a delightful boy. Pleasure talking with him. Yes, my buck, the one as big as you.
It's hanging there now.
It is? Why, then you must go and buy it. Yes, go and buy it now.
What?
Oh, no, I really do mean it. Go and buy it. And tell them to bring it round so that I can give them directions where to deliver it. Come back with the man and I'll give you a shilling. Come back with him in less than 5 minutes and I'll give you half a crown. Ha, ha, ha. I'll send it to Bob Cratchit. He won't know who sent it. I won't tell him. Ha, ha. It's twice the size of Tiny Tim. Oh, Tiny Tim. Tiny Tim will live. On my soul, Tiny Tim will live. They did it all in one night. Spirits of Christmas past, present, and future strive within me. Oh, heaven at Christmas time be praised for this. I say it on my knees, dear Lord, on my knees. A Merry Christmas to everyone. A Happy New Year to all the world. Ha, ha, ha.
On Christmas night, all Christians sing to hear the news the angels bring. On Christmas night, all Christians sing to hear the news the angels bring. News of great joy, news of great mirth, news of the merciful King's birth. Then why should we on earth be sad, since our Redeemer made us glad? Why should men on earth be sad, since our Redeemer made us glad? When from our sins set us free, all for gain of liberty.
Would you believe it if I told you that Scrooge went to church that day?
No!
He did, and walked about the streets, and watched the people hurrying to and fro, and patted children on the head as they passed, and questioned beggars, and looked down into the kitchens of houses, and up to the windows, and found that everything could yield him pleasure. He had never dreamed that any walk, that anything at all, could give him so much happiness. In the afternoon, he turned his steps toward his nephew's house.
Oh, Fred, it's beautiful, and it's too much. We shouldn't have spent so much.
But I love you, my dear, and my wife shall have the best on Christmas Day.
Oh, Fred, I love you so, but not just for this.
I know, my dear, I know.
Now who can that be?
I don't know. No one's expected at this hour.
Hello, Fred.
Uncle Scrooge.
The very same. It is I, your Uncle Scrooge. I recall an invitation you made to me yesterday to come and dine with you. If that invitation is still in force, I should like to accept.
Why, don't know what to say.
Well, you could say, bah humbug, a retort I heartily repent of and shall never use again. Or you could say, come in.
Come in, why, of course. Hooray, Uncle Scrooge. You are made us both very happy. Oh, may I introduce my wife, Janet? Janet, my Uncle Scrooge.
My dear, it is plain to me now why my nephew chose you among women. You are indeed every bit as lovely as I have heard.
Why, thank you, Uncle Scrooge. We are very happy you are here.
I'm sorry for the things I've said about Christmas, and sorry for the poor reception I gave you yesterday, of which you were so undeserving. I see the image of my sister in your face. I love her, you know, and she you.
I know that, Uncle Scrooge. She loved you very much, and wished until her dying day that we should always be close.
And so we are, Fred, and so we shall be. So we shall be.
Caroling, caroling, now we go. Christmas bells are ringing. Caroling, caroling through the snow. Christmas bells are ringing. Joy is going to sing and clear. Sing the song of what we can do. Come down to the church, Christmas bells are ringing.
What is this?
Morning, sir.
Mr. Cratchit, you are late, sir.
Oh, yes, sir.
What do you mean by coming here at this time of day?
Well, I'm very sorry, sir. Sir, I am behind my time.
Step this way, if you please, Cratchit.
It's only once a year, sir. I shall not be repeated. I was making rather merry yesterday with my family.
Now I'll tell you what, my friend, I'm not going to stand for this any longer, and therefore, I'm going to double your salary. Yes, Bob Cratchit, I'm going to double your salary, sir. A Merry Christmas to you, a Merry Christmas that I have given you for many years. And from now I will endeavor to assist your family in any way I can. And as for Tiny Tim, he will walk again, I know it. Now you needn't say such a thing. Come with me. We will discuss the particulars over a bowl of smoking bishop before you so much as dot another. I, Bob Cratchit.
Caroling, 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 caroling down. Christmas bells are ringing, caroling, caroling up and down. Christmas bells are ringing, hark you all the song we sing. Bells on the carols ring, ding dong, Christmas bells are ringing.
Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all, and infinitely more. And to Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. He became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city ever knew. And ever afterward, it was always said of Ebenezer Scrooge that he knew how to keep Christmas, and keep it well, if any man alive possessed the knowledge. May that be truly said of us, and all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed,
God bless
everyone.